Welcome to the world of science fiction Neon's Alien. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new story from Neon's Alien universe. The night was cold. The wind blew dust and paper through the dark alleys of New Terra 12, a city built on metal and forgotten promises. Most people stayed inside after sunset, but Reed, a simple human mechanic, had one last bag of scrap to throw away. He stepped out of his workshop, tossing the bag into the bin, when he heard something. Not a sound. A feeling. Like eyes watching him. He paused, then slowly turned toward the alley beside his shop. At first, he saw only shadows. But then, he saw her. Curled up behind the trash, wrapped in a torn blanket, was a girl. No, not human. Her skin was soft gray with faint glowing lines across her arms. Her hair was silver and tangled. Her ears were long and curved, an alien, and she looked terrified. Reed stepped back. Whoa. She tried to hide deeper into the corner, arms tight around herself. Her voice was barely a whisper. No, please, don't call guards. He raised both hands. No guards. I promise. She peeked at him with glowing violet eyes. Her lips trembled. Her cheeks were hollow. She looked hungry, weak, alone. Reed took a slow breath. You're freezing. No answer. When did you eat last? Still nothing. Just a quiet shiver. He knelt down slowly, careful not to startle her. From his coat pocket, he pulled out a wrapped food bar. He placed it on the ground and slid it toward her. It's safe. Take it. She stared at it. Then, like a wild animal unsure of a trap, she reached out and grabbed it. She tore the wrapper open with her teeth and began to eat fast. Too fast. Reed frowned. Slow down, you'll choke. But she didn't stop. She was starving. Reed stood. Wait here. He walked back to his shop. A few minutes later, he returned with a long coat and a bottle of warm water. He placed them beside her. You'll freeze out here. She looked up at him again, this time with wide, confused eyes. Why, help? He shrugged. Because no one helped me once. I remember how it felt. She didn't answer, but she didn't run either. That was something. Reed looked around, no patrols yet, still. If someone found her here, she'd be taken, or worse. He sighed. This wasn't his problem. She wasn't his responsibility. He could walk away now, live safe. But he looked at her again. The way she held the coat like it was a treasure. The way she glanced at the food wrapper like it was gold. He made his choice. Come inside just for the night. I've got heat and extra food, you'll be safe. She flinched. Trap? He shook his head. No trap, no tricks, just warmth. She looked at the open door behind him, then at him, then back at the street, and slowly. She stood. Her legs shook. She nearly fell. Reed caught her arm gently. Easy. You're okay now. She didn't pull away. Inside the shop, the air was warm and smelled of oil and old machines. Reed guided her to the small couch in the corner. She sat carefully, like she expected it to vanish. He handed her a blanket and turned on the heater. You got a name? He asked. She looked at him slowly. Kari. I'm Reed. You're safe here, Kari. She blinked. Why safe? Because no one gets hurt in my place. Not even aliens. She looked down at her hands. They were shaking. They call me stray, useless. They're wrong. Reed made her tea. He didn't ask questions. She didn't offer answers. But something passed between them in the silence. Not trust. Not yet. But something close. Later that night, as the lights dimmed, Kari curled up under the blanket. Her breathing, soft and even. Reed sat at his workbench nearby, watching the monitor for patrol signals. None came. But even if they did, he wasn't going to let anyone take her. Not now, Not after seeing those eyes. Outside, the city howled with wind and neon light. But inside Reed's shop, one alien girl slept in peace for the first time in years, and the human beside her? He didn't know it yet. But this was the beginning of something he never expected. The morning came quietly. Soft yellow light slipped through the cracked window of Reed's workshop. The machines hummed faintly. Tools hung on the wall, untouched, and on the old couch. Wrapped in a thick brown blanket, Kari opened her eyes. She blinked slowly. For a moment, she forgot where she was. No cold wind, no alley floor. Just warmth. She sat up fast. Her head spun. Then she saw him. Reed, sitting at his workbench, sipping tea and scribbling notes on a datapad. He looked up and smiled gently. Morning. Kari clutched the blanket closer. I didn't steal, she said, quickly. Didn't touch anything, I can leave now. Reed shook his head. You didn't do anything wrong, you slept. She looked confused. And now? Now you eat something. He pointed to the plate on the table. 2 slices of toast, a boiled egg, a clean glass of water, simple food. But to Kari, it looked like a feast. Still, she didn't move. Why? She asked softly. Why feed me? Why warm me? Reed leaned back, arms crossed. Because you looked cold and hungry. That's reason enough. Kari narrowed her eyes. But humans, they want things. You want something from me? He raised an eyebrow. Like what? Information? Service? Obedience? He laughed. Just once, soft and real. I'm a mechanic, Kari. What am I going to do with obedience? She still didn't eat. Instead, she studied him like a scientist with a strange new machine. Are you testing me? Nope. Trying to gain trust so you can sell me later? Not my style. She blinked. Silence filled the space between them. Then, her stomach growled. Loud. She flinched in embarrassment. Reed stood and picked up the plate. He walked over, knelt beside the couch, and placed the food in front of her. No pressure, no words. He simply said, Eat. Kari reached slowly, carefully. Her fingers trembled as she picked up the toast. She sniffed it, took a bite. Her eyes widened. It's warm. That's how it's supposed to be. She ate slowly now, like she was afraid it would vanish if she moved too fast. Reed watched her for a moment, then turned back to his bench. He didn't stare, didn't question, just gave her space. And for the first time, Kari felt something strange. Safety. After a while, she spoke again. On my planet, weak ones are left behind. Reed didn't look up. That happened to you? She nodded slowly. My family fled. They said I slowed them down. I'm sorry. They said I was a waste. Reed paused, then looked back at her. They were wrong. She didn't respond, but her eyes softened. Later that day, she explored the room, still barefoot, still nervous. She touched a wrench, pressed a blinking button on a bench. Everything amazed her. Simple things, clean floors, a working heater, a cup with her own name carved on it. Reed had done it that morning. She stared at it for a long time. When Reed returned from the junkyard with more supplies, he found her sitting at the workbench, holding the cup, tracing the letters. Why, did you write my name? Because it's yours. But you don't even know me. He smiled. I don't have to know everything about someone to treat them like a person. Kari looked at the cup again, then at him. You're different from the other humans I've seen. Maybe they never met someone worth being different for. That night, she didn't sleep on the couch. She chose the floor near the heater. Reed gave her a second blanket. She pulled it over her head like armor. But before she drifted off, she whispered something. Soft. Fragile. Thank you, Reed. He heard. It didn't reply. Just smiled to himself. Outside, the city was still cruel, still noisy, still full of fear. But inside a dusty mechanic's shop, an alien girl slept warm, and a lonely man who never asked for company had found something he didn't expect someone who needed him. It was just after sundown. The skies above New Terra 12 glowed with dull purple clouds and red neon signs. The city never truly slept. Inside his workshop, Reed was cleaning oil from his hands, while Kari sat cross-legged on the floor, sorting tiny metal pieces into trays. Her cheeks had more color now. Her shoulders were straighter. Her eyes didn't flinch at every sound. For the first time in years, she was starting to feel normal. "What does this do?" Kari asked, holding up a coil. "It's for a heat valve," Reed said, tossing her a small towel. "Good hands, by the way." She smiled faintly. "You think so?" "I know so." Then, knock, 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 a heavy, hard knock echoed through the workshop. Kari froze, the color drained from her face. Reed's eyes narrowed. That wasn't a friendly knock. That was authority. He walked to the front door and peeked through the cracked monitor screen. His jaw tightened. 2 patrol officers, gray armor, visors, scanners glowing on their belts. City enforcement. He turned quickly. "Kari, under the floor hatch, now." She didn't argue. She grabbed her small bag and slipped into the storage pit behind the workbench. Reed covered it with a metal crate. Seconds later, the door buzzed. He opened it. One officer stepped in. The other scanned the perimeter. "Reed Mason?" "That's me." "Routine check. We're tracking energy signatures. There's an anomaly near this unit." "Probably my heater," Reed said calmly. "It's old and stupid. Like me." The officer smirked. "You always this funny?" "Only when I don't like being interrupted during dinner." The second officer entered now, scanning slowly. The beeping on his scanner grew faster. Kari, under the floor, held her breath. She could hear every footstep above her. "You live alone?" the officer asked. "Yeah, don't like roommates." "No guests recently?" "Unless you count a raccoon last week." The scanner beeped again, right over the floor hatch. Kari shut her eyes tight. Then suddenly, click. The scanner reset. The officer frowned. "It just dropped." "Told you," Reed said. "Heater's busted." The first officer looked around the room once more. "All right, but be aware. Harboring unregistered xenoforms is a serious crime, punishable by 5 years in prison or full eviction." Reed's voice was flat. "I read the signs." "Then read this." He handed Reed a small warning card, bright red with silver text. "We'll be back, so if anyone strange drops by, report it." They left. The door shut. Reed locked it twice, then moved the crate. "Kari, they're gone." She crawled out, slowly, her knees shaking. They knew. They suspected, didn't confirm. She looked at the warning card in his hand. "You could have given me up." He looked at her, firm. "I never will." She sat on the floor, wrapping her arms around her legs. Her voice was small. "They put people like me in cages. I've seen it, cold metal boxes, no windows." Reed sat beside her. "That's not happening to you. You'll be punished. Worth it." Tears welled in her eyes, but didn't fall. She leaned her head on his shoulder, and for the first time, Reed let himself lean back. He didn't push her away. He didn't pretend not to care. Because now, it wasn't about kindness. It was something. A connection. Outside, patrol drones passed overhead. Their red lights scanned rooftops and doors. But inside the shop, one alien girl rested quietly beside the man who chose to protect her. Not for a reward, not for duty, but because he saw her as his own. The nights were longer now. Cold winds brushed the outside of Reed's workshop, but inside, there was a strange kind of warmth, one that didn't come from machines. It came from Kari's quiet footsteps, from her small voice asking, "Can I help with that?" And from her soft smile when Reed said, "Yeah, hand me the blue tool." She had been living with him for 2 weeks. Not once had she asked for more. Not once had she raised her voice. But slowly, she was changing. Her thin frame had filled out, with food and rest. Her movements, once twitchy and alert, were now soft and sure, and her eyes, they sparkled sometimes, just a little. One morning, Reed noticed her boots, still ripped. One sole was nearly detached, the fabric torn near the toes. "Your feet holding up?" he asked. Kari looked down. "I've walked worse." He raised an eyebrow. That wasn't the question. Later that evening, while she sorted screws, on the back table, Reed sat near the heater with her boots in his lap. He didn't say anything, didn't make a big deal of it. He just took out a needle, a glue gun and a thread made for spacesuits, and began stitching. Kari turned when she heard the soft hiss of glue. She saw him, focused, quiet, careful, fixing something that wasn't even broken metal. Her throat tightened. "Why?" she asked. He looked up. "They won't last another week." "You didn't have to," he shrugged. "I didn't want you walking around with frozen toes." She walked over slowly. Kneeling beside him, she stared at the boots in his hands. Her voice was almost a whisper. "No one has ever fixed anything for me, not even when I was a child." Reed paused. "Then those people didn't deserve you." That night, Kari sat quietly on the couch. The boots, now clean and strong, sat beside her like gifts. She didn't wear them yet. She just looked at them, as if she didn't believe they were real. "You okay?" Reed asked, pouring tea. She nodded, then said softly, "Where I come from, if someone is kind, it means they want something." Reed sat across from her. "What do you think I want?" "I don't know, but I keep waiting for the demand." He leaned back. "You'll be waiting a long time." Kari smiled, small, shy, but real. The next day she started humming, while working, while eating, even while sweeping the floor. It wasn't loud, it wasn't perfect, but it was hope, in music form. One afternoon, while Reed changed wires inside a broken hover cart, Kari brought him tea. He looked up and smiled. "You're getting good at this whole human thing." She laughed, an actual laugh, and for Reed, it felt like winning a battle he didn't know he was fighting. Later, he found her staring at herself in the cracked mirror near the back wall. Her fingers ran along her face. "I never thought I was pretty." Reed paused, then said, "Pretty's not the word I'd use." She turned to him surprised. "Oh?" "I'd say, bright. You shine, even when you don't try." Kari blinked. No one had ever said that. To her. Not even once. That night before sleeping, she looked at the sky through the workshop's ceiling vent. Stars twinkled above. She whispered something in her language. A prayer? A memory? Maybe a thank you? And Reed? He stood in the hallway, watching her from a distance. He didn't want to disturb her moment, but in his heart, he knew something had changed. She wasn't just recovering anymore. She was growing. She was healing. And somehow, without trying, so was he. The marketplace on New Terra 12's lower level was loud, dusty, and full of strange smells. Reed didn't like coming here, but Kari had asked. "I want to see the colors," she had said. So here they were, walking side by side under flashing signs and oily steam, with vendors yelling over each other. Kari's eyes sparkled with curiosity. She paused at every food stand, touched every glowing fruit, and tilted her head at the tiniest robotic birds in cages. Reed watched her with quiet amusement. He liked how she moved now. No fear, no flinching, just wonder. Then they passed an old vendor, a wrinkled alien woman selling fabric scarves. The woman smiled at Kari. "Your mate let you out today, hmm?" Kari blinked. "Mate?" The woman nodded at Reed. "Your husband. He spoils you well." Kari didn't correct her. She smiled. "Yes, he is my husband." Reed froze. The scarf he was touching slipped from his hand. Wait, what? Kari turned to him, casual. What's wrong? You just called me your husband. She blinked. Oh, I thought that word meant the one who gives safety food and speaks kindly. Reed scratched the back of his neck. Well, sort of. Then it fits. She turned and continued walking. Reed stood there, stunned. A passing vendor laughed. Lucky man. Later that night, back in the workshop, Reed couldn't stop thinking about it. He sat at his workbench, pretending to focus on a broken engine coil, but his mind wasn't on tools. It was on her words. Then it fits. Kari, meanwhile, stood in the kitchen corner. She was heating water, humming softly. She wore one of his old shirts as a robe, her silver hair tied loosely behind her ears. She looked calm, like this place had always been hers. Finally, Reed asked, Did you mean it? Kari turned. Mean what? The thing you said, at the market. You mean, husband? He nodded. She walked over, sat on the floor near his chair. In my culture, we don't always use words the same way, but in my heart I knew what I meant. And what's that? You are not just my shelter, Reed. You are where I belong. His chest tightened, not from fear, from something deeper. You know where I come from. That word means something. Serious. Kari tilted her head. More serious than saving someone's life. More serious than sharing food and space and protection. It means commitment, love, a forever kind of thing. She looked down, then up again. Then maybe I meant it more than I thought. Silence filled the workshop. But it wasn't awkward. It was heavy. Real. Kari stood, walked to the sink and poured tea into 2 cups. She handed one to him, then sat back beside him, closer than usual. I will not use the word again, if it bothers you. It doesn't bother me, he said softly. It just surprised me. Many beautiful things do. They sat there sipping tea, the workshop hum in the background, the soft wind outside. No more questions. No answers needed. Just 2 souls realizing something had shifted. Later that night, as Kari curled up in her corner near the heater, she whispered, Good night, husband. Reed didn't stop her. He didn't correct her. He just smiled from his bench and whispered back, Good night, Kari. And somehow, that felt right, even if no vows were spoken, even if no one else heard it. Because in that tiny, quiet shop, she had already chosen him. It was just after sunrise when the drone came. It floated quietly above the building, round, black, and silent. It didn't knock. It simply scanned the front door, glowed red, and dropped a sealed packet. Then it flew away. Reed found it an hour later. He had stepped outside to check the solar panels when he saw the packet on the steps, silver, marked with a glowing government seal. His stomach dropped. He picked it up with trembling fingers, opened it. Read the words. Unregistered xeno life form detected. Deportation initiated. You have 24 hours to surrender the alien. Inside the shop, Kari was cleaning the floor, humming softly. Reed walked in slowly, his face pale. Kari looked up and smiled. The smile disappeared the moment she saw the paper in his hand. What is that? He didn't answer, he just handed it to her. She read it slowly, her hands began to shake. They found me. Reed nodded. They're giving us 24 hours. Us? You live here. I live here. It's both of us now. Kari sat down. Hard. The air felt heavy. Her voice cracked. They will take me to the camps. Not if I stop them. Reed, she said, eyes wide with fear. They will arrest you too. Let them try. She stood and grabbed her small bag, the same one she had when she first came. I'll leave tonight. No, you won't. It's the only way. No, Kari. Running alone isn't survival anymore. Not for you. Not for me. She looked at him, eyes full of pain. You'll lose your shop, your life. He stepped closer. If I lose you, I lose the only part of life that matters now. Silence. Just the low hum of machines and the buzz of the street beyond. Kari sat, down again, this time slower. Then what do we do? Reed opened the secret floor hatch. We run. Together. That night they packed light, one small bag of tools. One old hover bike Reed had hidden under a tarp for years. It barely worked. But it was freedom. Reed placed a tracker jammer under the engine hood. Kari wore a scarf to hide her glowing lines. She turned once, looking at the workshop, the couch, the heater, the scratched table where she learned how to laugh. I will miss this place. Reed tightened the bolts on the hover bike. Places can be rebuilt. He looked at her. You can't. They left an hour before sunrise. Quiet, quick. As they zipped through the old city alleys, the sky began to shift from black to purple. Behind them, the workshop stood silent. And then, boom, a drone blasted through the front door. But no one was inside. The machine scanned the floor. No signs. The alien was gone. On the edge of the outer zone, Reed and Kari crossed into the wilderness. No city guards, no scanners, just open land and wind-blown hills. They stopped under an old broken satellite dish. Reed checked the bike's power core. It'll hold until we reach the far ridge. Kari sat beside him. She looked up at the stars, visible now, sharp and bright. Are we fugitives now? Guess we are. Do you regret it? Reed looked at her, tired, covered in dust, still smiling. Never. She placed her hand on his, fingers gentle, steady. You gave me a home, and now you gave it up. I didn't give up home, he whispered. I brought it with me. Kari smiled, then leaned into his shoulder. The stars above didn't care who they were, but the warmth between them, silent, strong, was louder than any order. Tomorrow would be harder. Danger would follow. But tonight, they were free and together. The sky above the outer zone was endless. No ships, no patrols, only stars. And under those stars, in a small wooden shelter Reed had built with his bare hands, Kari boiled water over a fire. She hummed softly. She moved slowly, but her eyes held. Peace. Reed sat on a stone bench outside, adjusting solar panels tied together with old ship wires. His hands were calloused. His back hurt. But his heart? It was full. Because every time he looked toward that little cabin, he saw her, alive, safe, home. Inside, Kari poured tea into 2 mismatched cups. She added a dash of sweet leaves Reed had gathered from the hills. She carried both cups to the doorway and leaned against the wooden frame. You built this place, and with broken tools and rusted scraps, Reed smirked. Yeah, not bad for junk, huh? No, she said. Not junk. Not anymore. He took the cup from her hand. Their fingers touched. Neither moved away. This place, she whispered, smells like fire and old metal. But it feels like something I've never had. Reed tilted his head. And what's that? Kari looked at him. Home. A long silence passed. Wind whistled softly through dry trees. The fire crackled behind her. Kari stepped outside and sat beside him. She held her tea close, warming her fingers, then said softly, Back then, when I called you husband, I wasn't sure why. Maybe I was confused. Reed said nothing, he just listened. But after all this time, all this running, I think I know. She turned to him fully now, eyes bright, voice steady. Because you are the one I wake up beside. Because I wear your old shirt and it feels like armor. Because when I was no one, you gave me a name, a place, and a choice. She placed her hand on his chest. Because this heart makes me feel like I finally exist. Reed blinked. His chest rose slowly under her hand. He had heard many things in his life, but never words like that. You don't have to say it back, Kari added gently. But I want you to know, I call you husband now, not by mistake. She smiled softly. But by meaning. Reed's hand covered hers. Big, rough, warm. He leaned closer. Then let me say this, Kari, you are not someone I saved. You're someone who saved me right back. You are not my burden. You are my balance. She looked down, shy now. But he reached into his pocket and pulled out something, wrapped in cloth. He opened it, a ring, not gold or new. It was made from the engine casing of their old hover bike, simple, strong. He placed it in her hand. I don't have much, no papers, no priest, no ceremony. He smiled. But I have this. And I have you. Kari stared at the ring. Her hands trembled, not from fear, from the weight of being seen, chosen, loved. She slipped the ring onto her finger, then threw her arms around his neck and whispered in his ear, Then this is home, and you are mine. That night. They danced by the firelight. No music, just footsteps, and two hearts finally beating in sync. Far away, cities still buzzed, drones still searched, rules still ruled. But in that quiet space under the stars, a girl who was once homeless, and a man who once lived alone, had found everything, not in a palace, not on a spaceship, but in a cabin made of scrap, held together by love. And every morning after, when Kari woke beside him, she would smile and say, Good morning, husband.